Vítajte na prednáške Yehudu Tagara ohľadne empatie, evolúcie a kríze, ktorá je práve na Ukrajine. Yehuda, ako som písala v pozvánke, nie je len medzinárodný coach, terapeut, counselor, ale je aj veľký ako fanúšik histórie a pohľadu na históriu a na evolúciu z iného uhla pohľadu, ako je ten mainstreamový. Takisto je srdcom vlastne z Ukrajiny a nie len preto, ale aj preto ho táto téma veľmi fascinuje. Tak on vám už povie viacej sám, ale aspoň toľko na úvod.
Well, friends, how many of you don't understand English?
Koľko z vás nerozumie anglicky? Kto teda nerozumie tak?
Do you understand English?
I understand it, but I want to know.
So what you do? These people speak English, I know that. You speak English? So,
I'm fine with translating, but
is it needed?
well, it's not only for this occasion that we are recording it, so
Okay.
it will be needed.
Well, friends, I never been here before. I heard about it. We were hoping for some public event on a public topic, but as you can see, it's a private event. I know most of you, and we can just have a meeting and an exchange of ideas.
Takže toto miesto som predtým nepoznal, ale už som o ňom počul. A ja som dúfal, že budeme mať viacej ľudí, aj sa viacej prihlásilo, ale nevadí, možno ešte dojdu. Každopádne, zatiaľ, kým sme tu len my, bude to taká hlavne stretnutie bližšie, osobné, intimné a môžeme si vymieňať naše názory na túto tému.
Maybe people are tired of the topic of the war.
Možno, že je to tak, že ľudia sú už unavení z tej témy vojny.
It was news for 3 months. Maybe people are tired of it.
Možno ľudia už proste nevládzu, hej, už to 3 mesiace pozerajú, počúvajú v správe, že už majú dosť.
Just want to go back to the normal life and just get on with it.
Možno, že už chcú len proste ísť, proste žiť svoj obyčajný život a nezaoberať sa vojnou.
Of course, it's an option. You can forget about it. You have no obligation about a conflict in another country.
Áno, je to taká možnosť, len tak zabudnúť a nestarať sa o tom, čo sa deje na Ukrajine.
And of course, the Ukrainian people have no such choice. For them, it is news every day. About 100 soldiers die every day, and there's more and more refugees, and systematically the country is being destroyed.
Ukrajinci takéto šťastie nemajú, hej, že nemôžu na to len tak zabudnúť. Asi 100 vojakov je každý deň zabíjaných a stále viac a viac utečencov pribúda.
So for some of us, it's still happening, and it is our business. We in Slovakia can choose if it's our business or not. For the Ukrainian, there is no choice. And many people in the world choose to act as if it is our business, not just something which happens in a faraway country on the other side of, not in Central Europe even, but in Eastern Europe. And in the past, we regarded it as something in the newspapers, but something different happens now.
Čiže sú ľudia, ktorí jednoducho si môžu vybrať, že či sa tým budú vôbec zaoberať, sú ľudia, ktorí si to nevedia vybrať, ale myslím, že tak celkovo sa zmenil postoj na svete, vo svete, ako sa dívajú ľudia na túto krízu na Ukrajine, že predtým to bolo len niečo, čo sledovali tak, že je to v správach, ako niečo ďaleko, ale teraz sa mi zdá, že sa na to dívajú inak.
Well, I lived through many wars. In my own country, I was born in Israel. In my lifetime, there were about 5 wars there. I served as a cadet, paratrooper in one of them. And in the world, during the same time, there were hundreds of wars.
Ja som už zažil veľa vojen. Minimálne 5 vojen bolo v Izraeli, keď som tam ešte žil. Ja som aj slúžil ako vojak, ako parašutista v jednej vojne.
The first time I remember when a war, a conflict became international interest was in the spring of 1968 when the Warsaw Pact invaded Czechoslovakia to crush the spring of Prague and Bratislava. I was 16 and I woke up to it. And I realized then something strange happened. A war in a country that you hardly know where is it on a map touched something in everybody.
Ja, čo si pamätám prvýkrát, kedy vojna vstúpila do správ, kde ja som si to všimol, bolo v 68., ako ruské tanky napadli Prahu, Bratislavu a mal som vtedy 16 rokov a všade o tom hovorili.
Then came the Vietnam War and it became even more so everyone's business.
Potom prišiel Vietnam a ešte viac sa to stalo ako keby záležitosťou každého.
And then came the war of Yugoslavia, and some of it became everyone's business too.
Potom prišla vojna v Juhoslávii a tiež sa niečo z toho stalo akože záležitosťou všetkých.
In fact, the only time NATO was involved in any hostile action was to stop the massacre of Muslims in Kosovo in the 90s.
Jedinýkrát vlastne, keď NATO zastavilo, akože vošlo a urobilo, proste zastavilo to, čo sa tam dialo, bolo práve v Juhoslávii, aby prestal ten masaker muslimov v 90. rokoch.
Of course, Yugoslavia wasn't in NATO and Kosovo was not even a country, but people felt we cannot just let a massacre, ethnic cleansing of Muslims to happen in the end of 20th century.
Čiže hoci Kosovo nebola ešte ani krajina a samozrejme nebola členom NATO, tak nemohli sme sa pozerať na to, ako sa nejaké etnikum proste ide vyhľadiť. Nedalo sa pozerať na ten masaker. Takže sme museli nejako zakročiť.
But there was no war in Europe, really, since 1945.
Ale od 45., vlastne 1945. neexistovala vojna v Európe. Odvtedy tu nebola vojna.
76 years.
76 rokov.
A conflict here and a conflict there, Nagorno-Karabakh, Chechnya, skirmishes, tension between Greece and Macedonia, but no war.
Čiže konflikty boli, hej, sem tam nejaké, ja neviem, niečo v Čečensku a neviem kde ešte, ale žiadna vojna.
We thought it was over. We thought this terrible part of human history is behind us.
Čiže mysleli sme, že už je to skončené, že táto hrozná časť histórie je už za nami.
Well, we woke up into a nightmare. On the 24th of February 2022, one country invaded another in order to control it.
Ale zapudili sme sa do tej nočnej mori 24. februára 2022, že jedna krajina si proste povedala, že napadne druhú.
Actually, this didn't happen since the war.
Ono sa to pred tou vojnou, teda od tej vojny od 45. sa to proste nestalo.
This was like a nightmare of 1939 all over again. First World War, Second World War.
Ako by sme prežívali tú nočnú moru z 39. Druhýkrát.
And there were few elements of this conflict which were unique because even in the Second World War, there was only one case when one nation decided to destroy another nation completely. And that was Nazi Germany decided to destroy the Jewish nation completely. That was a policy. Nothing like this happened on a large scale since. the Russian government decided that Ukraine does not exist and should stop to exist.
Čiže ono je to svojím spôsobom unikátne, tak ako nacisti sa rozhodli, že proste Židov vyhľadia, že nebudú žiadni Židia v Európe, tak Rusko si povedalo, že Ukrajina neexistuje, Ukrajinci neexistujú.
Actually, the last time that happened was when Hitler took Austria in 1938 and decided that Austria does not exist. It should be a part of Deutschland, destroying its national identity. But he didn't destroy Austria, didn't destroy the cities, didn't destroy the infrastructure, didn't destroy the people. He just said, Austrians, you're now a part of Germany. And then it was called Anschluss, and they will live happily ever after. This was the closest time when one nation said to another nation, you don't exist, you're just a part of us. And that's what Putin did on the 24th of February this year. Ukraine does not exist, it should be a part of Russia.
Dobre, tak Hitler to urobil s Rakúskom, keď ho vyhlásil, že dobre, vy ste už teraz súčasť Nemecka, ale on neničil tam proste obyvateľstvo a infraštruktúru a tak ako to teraz Putin robí.
Well, it was supposed to last for 3 days and it lasted for 3 months by now.
Malo to trvá 3 dni, ale už to trvá 3 mesiace.
Why?
Prečo?
2 reasons, I'll come back to them.
Sú tu 2 dôvody, ja sa k nim vrátim.
But this is the bad news. I am here because I am trying to find the meaning of it, and there's some good news in that.
Toto teraz, čo hovorím, to sú tie zlé správy. A ja tu nie som preto, aby som vám povedal len zlé správy, ale som tu aj preto, lebo sa snažím nájsť nejaký význam v tom, niečo, čo by mohlo byť niečo dobré.
In all my life, I lived a long time, I haven't seen all red. I'm a historian. I haven't seen all red anything like what happens now when one nation is brutalized by another and the whole world is protesting against it. That never happened before.
Za môj život, a ja už dlho žijem, som nezažil, že toto, čo som zažil teraz, že keď jeden národ napadol druhý národ, že celý svet sa proste proti tomu postavil a vyhradil.
This shocked everybody.
Ono to šokovalo každého.
This was a real surprise.
Bolo to skutočné prekvapenie.
The wave of empathy to the suffering and the disaster of the Ukrainian people changed the world. The war changes the world in many ways. I mean, 9% inflation in the United States changed all the predictions and all the models. High petrol prices, shortage of food. Of course, the war changed everything, but the response to the war is much more long-term. The empathic response to Ukraine never had anything like this happen before.
Takže jasné, vojna mení celý svet. Tie následky vojny, už keď len zoberiete si infláciu v USA, tak vidíte, že ako je to dosť riadna katastrofa. Ale čo mení svet ešte viac, je tá vlna empatie, ktorú zažívame ako následok toho, že sa tá vojna deje.
When President, your chairperson of the Communist Party in China, namely the Emperor of China, when he is now thinking about annexing Taiwan, which was the official plan for 70 years, he has to think twice because maybe the world will not like it and maybe it matters what the world think about us. So everything changed there. They cannot just send the Navy and bomb the place and take it. Maybe the world will embargo them. Maybe China will go down the hill, which it is doing anyway. Suddenly, everyone's business is everyone's business. That's it.
Čiže to, čo je nové, že takáto záležitosť, ktorá sa deje, je už každého záležitosť. Napríklad v Číne nemôžu si len tak zmyslieť, ako už plánovali, že bombardujú Tajván a si ho zoberú ako pod seba, hej, lebo čo keď potom sa im to vypomstí, čo keď pôjdu ešte viac kopca, než už teraz idú, lebo ten svet sa postaví proti ním.
Suddenly, the dictator of Turkey, Erdogan, cannot think anymore. He can just march into northern Iraq and take Kurdistan. You know, Kurdistan is now a semi-autonomic region in Iraq around Ibril. There's Kurdistan, but it never got a country. There's Kurdistan in Syria, there's Kurdistan in Persia, there's in Iran, there's Kurdistan in Turkey, but in Iraq it's semi-independent, and he always thought he would just march in and take it, but he cannot think like this anymore.
Čiže ani ten diktátor Turecka nemôže proste len tak si napochodovať do severného Iraku a prevziať si Kurdistan pod svoj štát.
Just two examples. The world, people like us have something to say about it. Suddenly, it becomes our business. Even with countries we never knew exactly where they are, with people we never met and never will meet. They're not connected to us in any way, but they're people. And we, the people, say, you cannot do this to people anymore, we'll punish you.
Čiže ľudia ako my už to vlastne nedovolíme, hej? Že hovoríme, že ľuďom sa to proste nepáči. Ak budete robiť niečo, čo sa nám nepáči, tak nejako vás potrestáme.
Now, Putin did a miscalculation on a huge scale. You know, this was a terrible plan based on shocking intelligence, based on believing his own rhetoric, based on a corrupt state when nobody speaks the truth, based on a corrupt army when most of the money goes to the pockets of oligarchs. The whole thing is rotten, but I cannot blame him for that. He couldn't predict this wave of international empathy, of simple people like us saying "niet." That was not in the strategy of anybody. That's a surprise.
Čiže Putin sa veľmi prerátal, hej, úplne všetko zle spravil, keď si túto vojnu plánoval, ale fakt mu nemôžem zazlievať, že nerátal s tou vlnou tej empatie, ktorá príde z celého sveta.
So these are the two reasons why an operation, it's not a war, it's a special military operation, was supposed to last for 3 days, marching into Kiev, killing the government, putting a puppet, Ukraine is ours, back to the Warsaw Pact, and flowers and blessings because thank you for saving us from Nazism, even though as you know, the president is Jewish, still Nazism. It didn't happen. It's 3 months and it's just limited to the Donbass. They gave up on Odessa already. The Ukrainian army is already on the Russian border in Kharkiv. Totally different outcome. Finland and Sweden joining NATO. It is a catastrophe for 2 reasons.
Takže sú 2 dôvody, prečo je to katastrofa, prečo to nevychádza tak, ako on si to plánoval, hej, že bude to 3-dňová akcia, to ani nie je, že vojna, že to bude len nejaká špeciálna vojenská operácia a úplne iné, čo očakával, sa stalo a sú tam teda 2 dôvody.
There's something about the truth. There is a statement, a proverb, I don't know who created it in England since the war. You can lie to everybody some of the time. You can lie to some people all the time, but you cannot lie to everybody all the time.
Existuje taká pravda, alebo nejaké také príslovie, že môžeš klamať niektorým ľuďom sem tam, potom sú ľudia, ktorým môžeš klamať neustále, ale nedá sa klamať každému neustále, to sa proste nedá.
But there's an antithesa created by an Austrian frustrated artist who said, if you tell people lies, if you tell enough people enough lies enough time, they start to believe it is true.
Ale potom je taká antitéza takého nejakého rakúskeho, myslím, že umelca, ktorý hovorí, že ak budete opakovať nejakú lož dostatočne často a dostatočne veľa ľuďom, tak oni uveria, že je to pravda.
It was an Austrian frustrated artist who not accepted to the Vienna Academy of Art, and so he revenged and became Chancellor of Germany and Anschluss Austria. His name was Adolf Hitler, and he said, if you lie enough time to enough people, they grow to believe it is true.
On bol frustrovaný umelec, neprijali ho na školu, tak čo mal robiť? Stal sa tým kancelárom Nemecka, bol to Hitler a toto tvrdil. Keď to budete opakovať dostatočne veľa, krát, dookola, tak sa to stane pravdou, hoci je to lož.
So Putin tried the Hitler teza, lying in a massive industrial scale for millions and millions of people, creating an industry of misinformation, alternative facts, alternative history, with official stations, for instance, RT and Sputnik, and people believe it is true.
No a na to vsadil Putin, hej, že proste klamal, založil to všetko na tých alternatívnych faktoch a ľudia proste uverili, že to je pravda.
But it failed.
Ale ono to zlyhalo.
I mean, it was very successful. It changed the election in the United States. It changed Brexit in England. About 30% of Slovaks believe in Putin. These people everywhere believe in Putin. I don't know why. In Russia, if you express opinion different to Putin, you go to 15 years in jail. I don't know any Slovak who went to jail because he opposed Putin, and still enthusiastically some Slovak support Putin. It's interesting psychology, the attraction of lies, the attraction of hatred, the attraction of evil. Very attractive apparently.
Je to zjavne také veľmi príťažlivé, tieto lži. Dokonca vraj 30% Slovákov verí Putinovi, pritom v Rusku je to tak, že ak poviete, že Putin klame alebo že to je nejako inak, tak idete na 15 rokov do basy. No ono to v podstate nebolo nadarmo, hej, zmenilo to, ja neviem, voľby v Amerike, alebo zmenilo to v Brexit. Každopádne sú to aj tak lži, ktoré nechápem, ako niekto môže veriť.
I mean, Hitler had a special minister for lies, Goebbels. He was specializing in lies, and he was doing very well.
Hitler mal takého špeciálneho ministra, ktorý sa špecializoval na lži. Goebbels sa volal a robil to veľmi dobre.
Now, there was one lie that became a fact. Ukraine does not exist. Have you heard it? Ukraine does not exist.
Bola taká lož, ktorá sa nestala pravdou, a to je tá lož, že Ukrajina neexistuje.
It's a part of Russia. It rebelled against Russia. The Nazis took over. They say we are Ukrainian. They've got a flag. Really, it's a part of Russia. We want it back. That became the truth.
Že v tom Rusku sa toto stala pravda, hej, že proste Ukrajina neexistuje, potrebujeme si ju len zobrať k sebe.
Imagine somebody comes and says Slovakia does not exist. It's just the northern part of Hungary. Pozsony, you know this city called Pozsony on the Danube? This was the capital of the Hungarian Empire for 350 years. What's Bratislava? What's Slovakia? We want it back, you know. If Orbán could do it, he would do it. What is Slovakia? Just a part of Hungary, speaking funny language. Don't worry, we will do Hungarization and everybody will speak Hungarian and there is no Slovakia. Imagine that Hungarians are doing that. That's what happened to Ukraine.
Predstavte si, že by to bolo tak, že niekto príde a povie, vlastne Slovensko neexistuje. Lebo však čo to je? To je len severná časť Maďarska a Orbán, keby mohol, tak to asi aj urobí, hej? Tak predstavte si.
Did you drive from Budapest to Bratislava?
Keď šoferujete z Budapešti do Bratislavy,
They tell you where you're going.
Oni vám hovoria, kde idete.
Pozsony, about 10 kilometers before the border, Bratislava.
Oni v Maďarsku Bratislavu volajú Požoň a tam to aj píšu, hej, že idete do Požoň a potom až 10 kilometrov pred Bratislavou napíšu Bratislava.
But when I started to work in Budapest, I started actually in Bratislava, then I went to Budapest. Where are you teaching? I'm teaching in Bratislava. Honestly, half the group did not know where is Bratislava. And then somebody said, Požan, he means Požan. And then they knew where it is.
Ja keď som učil v Budapešti a hovoril som, že budem učiť aj v Bratislave, nikto nevedel, kde to je. Až keď im povedali, že to on myslí Požoň, tak pochopili.
The German called it Pressburg. What is Bratislava? This was Pressburg. But the Germans are not here, so Bratislava took over. But if the Germans would be still here, so what are you talking about? This is Pressburg.
Nemci zasa Bratislavu volali Pressburg, alebo volajú a ak by tu boli, tak tiež nepovedia, že Bratislava.
It's a German city with some old-style Hungarian aristocrats and service department by Slavs, but it is Pressburg, that's what they would say.
Nemci by to tak cítili, hej, že Bratislava, čo to je? To je len proste nejaké staré nemecké mesto, dobre, sú tam aj nejakí maďarskí aristokrati, ale ináč je to nemecké.
So, this was the most established lie. There is no Ukraine, there never was Ukraine. It's just a rebellious part of Russia that is led by what is left of Nazi Germany, and we have to destroy it and take it back to Mother Russia. This is official policy of the Russian government.
Čiže to je tá najviac ustanovená lož a je to tá oficiálna politika ruskej vlády, že Ukrajina to vlastne neexistuje, ani neexistovala. Je to len tá rebelantská časť Ruska a my to potrebujeme proste zobrať na matičku Rus, vrátiť.
How many Slovaks believe that?
Koľko Slovákov vlastne tomu verí?
More than you would like to believe.
Myslím, že viac, než by sa vám páčilo.
A member of my family was arguing for that and saying, there is no Ukraine. I couldn't believe it. Then I realized where you read it from. There is no Ukraine, just a part of Russia. There are rebels, we have to crush them. Mm-hmm. He was fed on putting propaganda.
Mm-hmm. Čiže dokonca aj niekto z mojej rodiny mi povedal, že ale však čo, kto to je Ukrajina, čo to je, že to je len časť Ruska. A nechápal som, prečo to hovorí, no proste bol krmený tou ruskou propagandou.
Well, it's a complete lie.
A je to úplná lož.
I'm Ukrainian.
Ja som tiež z Ukrajiny.
Don't expect me to be objective about it.
Takže dobre, neočakávajte odo mňa, že budem nejaký objektívny.
My mother was born in Uman.
Moja mama sa narodila v Umane.
I think one of the biggest city in Ukraine on the south. And my grandfather is from Uman. My grandmother is from Odessa. I'm Ukrainian. That's why I came with Ukrainian national.
I'm not there. I'm Hungarian.
Hungarian?
My dad is
You're Hungarian?
My dad is Hungarian. So
Which one?
half.
You're half and half. Yeah, thanks for the European Union, it doesn't matter.
Čiže aj babka a detko, myslím, že sú z Ukrajiny, ale už teraz jednoducho vďaka Európskej únie až tak na tom nezáleží.
Really, yeah, Europe has no solution other than the EU, either the EU or constant wars.
Že podľa mňa Európa nemá iné riešenie ako Európsku úniu. Buď tu bude Európska únia, alebo budú neustále vojny.
Because, yes, it was Hungary for 350 years, but before it was Great Moravia with the capital in Nitra. So it depends on how you go to read history.
Čiže závisí, ako do histórie sa dívate, hej? Lebo dobre, bolo to aj napríklad Maďarsko a predtým to bola Veľká Morava.
So the first reason why this 3 days parade into Kiev government house did not happen is because it's a lie. Ukraine exists. And they say, fuck you, basically. We are here and we're here to stay. And they fought back. This was completely against the official propaganda. They're not supposed to exist. How can they fight back?
OK, takže prvý dôvod, prečo to nevyšlo, hej, prečo to nebolo len tá 3-dňová operácia, pretože to bola lož. a oni nečakali, že niekto, kto neexistuje, im bude vlastne, sa im postaví a povie, že chod sa po toto, lebo my tu sme, hej, to je Ukrajina a choďte preč.
So, 1,300 tanks destroyed, hundreds of airplanes destroyed, a third of the Russian army on the west destroyed by an army of a country that doesn't exist. And we are on the third month of the conflict because it was a lie. They do exist and are prepared to fight for the country.
Čiže zničených, ja neviem, 1300 tankov, neviem koľko lietadiel, tretina ruskej armády a niekým, kto vlastne ani nemal existovať. A teda prečo to nevyšlo? Pretože to bola lož.
The former chief of staff of the American army was asked in an interview, why didn't you send them this equipment before? Why did you have to wait until they have destroyed before you send them the howitzers? You know, when the howitzers arrive, they can shoot 25 kilometers with 155 millimeters, and they stopped the Russian army. Why didn't you send them this equipment before? And the answer was, honestly, we didn't think they would survive a week.
Otázka znela, že prečo ste im neposlali tie zbranie proste skôr? Prečo ste čakali, kým budú už zničení na poli? Tak odpoveď bola, no my sme nemysleli, že oni prežijú dlhšie jak týždeň.
This is $80 million a piece. We don't throw it away. We didn't think they will fight back. Suddenly we see that they fight back. We support them.
Čiže my sme si nemysleli, že tí Ukrajinci sa budú brániť a že teda budú útočiť na nás, tak sme im nedali, ja neviem, aký tank, alebo čo to bolo, 80 miliónový. A už vidíme, že sa bránia, no tak ich tam pošleme.
Germany wouldn't send any piece of equipment of aggression to any country since the war because of responsibility for German aggression in the Second World War. Official policy of Germany, doesn't matter, Christian Democrats, Social Democrats, Greens, we don't support war. Suddenly Germany is sending heavy artillery to Ukraine. Why? Because the people demanded it. The government didn't want to do it. The German people say, we'll kick you out, support the Ukrainian people. Under the pressure of people like us, the governments changed the policy.
Nemecká vláda od tej druhej svetovej vojny nepodporovala žiadnu vojnu, čiže nikam neposielala zbrane. Až do teraz nechcela to urobiť, ale ľudia, Nemci proste povedali, že pošlite im tie zbranie, že vykopneme vás, ak im nepomôžete.
11 million refugees in Ukraine. That never happened since the war. Even in the Second World War, we didn't have so many displaced people.
Že 11 miliónov utečencov a dokonca ani v tej druhej svetovej vojne ich toľko nebolo.
4 million women and children left the country completely and have been absorbed with open arms by all the countries around Ukraine, including Slovakia, including Czech Republic, including Hungary, including Romania, including Bulgaria. All these anti-immigrant countries just open the doors, come without visa. This never happened before. 4.5 million people. There have been 300,000 just through Slovakia alone.
Čiže 4 milióny žien a detí proste odišlo z Ukrajiny a nastálo a tie krajiny, ktoré predtým boli proti utečencom, teraz otvorili svoju náruč a prijali ich. Všetky tie krajiny vymenoval, ja neviem, aj Slovensko, aj Maďarsko, aj Rumunsko, aj ostatné okolo nás.
Slovakia opened its arms to Ukrainian refugees. 70,000 Ukrainians came to Slovakia to stay. The rest came through. But 70,000 Ukrainian people are here with us now, and they don't go anywhere. And my family adopted one family, a mother, 2 children, and a dog. And they live with us until when? Until the war is over. We don't know when. Just took them in. And many thousands of Slovaks did the same. And 10,000 refugees go to Germany every day. 10,000 refugees, and Germany opened the gates. But even Hungary opened.
Čiže na Slovensku sa usídlilo 70,000 utečencov a napríklad aj naša rodina si adoptovala jednu rodinu, žena, 2 deti a pes a ostávajú u nás, kým proste sa vojna neskončí. A do Nemecka cestuje 10,000 utečencov denne.
The nastiest, most inhuman government in Europe is the British government. They block the doors to refugees. Now, the only country in Europe who require Ukrainian refugees to have visa and to go through the normal process. You know what it takes to go through the normal process of getting British visa? I know I've been through it. I got a British visa. But the pressure of the people, the government became so unpopular because of this anti-refugee status in the middle of a crisis, they had to change it. So it is a people revolution. This is not government-led.
V Británii majú najhoršiu vládu, takú najodpornejšiu, ale aj tam ich ľudia prinútili, aby zmenili svoju politiku, lebo nedovoľovali vstup Ukrajincom a teraz niečo povolili. Čiže to nie je, že by tie vlády veľmi ako tak chceli tých utečencov, ale ľudia ich proste nútia, že musia zmeniť svoju politiku.
Democrats and Republicans, American Congress cannot agree on anything. Anything. They would shoot each other to death if they could. Absolute hatred between Democrats and Republicans in America.
V Amerike demokrati a republikáni sa nenávidia. Proste keby mohli, sa postrieľajú, na ničom sa nevedia dohodnúť.
Anything the Democratic president suggests, they would be against it to the last person in principle. They cannot agree on anything.
Nedá sa, že by súhlasili jeden tábor s druhým. Ja neviem, keď prezident niečo navrhne, tak ten druhý tábor to určite bude bojkotovať.
The only thing they agree on is support for Ukraine. The only thing.
Jediná vec, na ktorej sa shodnú, je podpora pre Ukrajinu.
The president asked for $30 billion more from Congress to support Ukraine after the $80,000 billion he already gave them. So the Congress said, no, it's not enough. And they forced him to give them $40 billion extra. It's the first time that the Congress did more than the president in a united house with maybe 10 people against it. This is unprecedented.
Že prezident žiadal nejakých 30 miliárd dolárov pre Ukrajinu a dokonca mu povedali v Senáte, že nie, to je málo. Teda povedali, že 40 treba.
So that's the second reason why the special military operation of parade through Kiev, when everybody is clapping, becomes 3 months of bloody war with 25,000 Russian soldiers dead and 3 times captured, and the destruction of the Russian army nearly completely because the world said yet.
To je teda druhý dôvod, prečo to nie je len tá 3-dňová operácia s tou parádou, ako si to predstavovali, ale už to trvá 3 mesiace, lebo celý svet vlastne povedal nie.
We stopped for a sandwich and a coffee on the way from Žilina to
Spišská Nová
Ves. And then these 2 huge army vehicle of Slovak army with, you don't know what it is, but it's tankers, 2 double tankers. And Mira said, what's that? I never saw that before. What's the army doing here? I said, don't you know? They're fueling the mix that Slovakia is sending to Ukraine.
Takže sme videli na ceste medzi Žilinou a Spiskou nejaké transportéry a že Mirka sa pýtala, že čo to je, tak to ako doplňajú migy, ktoré posiela asi Slovensko na Ukrajinu.
Slovakia is a major corridor for military equipment to Ukraine. In case you don't know, it is on the roads day and night.
Ak to neviete, tak na slovenských cestách proste sa celé dni a noci proste prenáša tá technika na Ukrajinu.
So what's the good news?
No tak čo sú v tom celom dobré správy?
Everyone's business is everyone's business.
Dobré správy sú, že záležitosti každého sú záležitosťami každého.
With opposition.
With opposition.
Yeah, there's opposition.
Ale je tu aj
There
opozícia.
are people who love dictators, who love hatred, who love lies, and they support Putin.
Dobre, sú ľudia, čo milujú diktátorov, milujú nenávisť, milujú lži a tí podporujú Putina.
After Putin, dictatorship will not be what it used to be.
Už po Putinovi diktátorstvo už nikdy nebude také, aké bolo.
These people will be disappointed.
Ľudia budú sklamaní.
Putin is the end of dictatorship.
Putin je koniec diktátorstva.
The absolute bankruptcy of dictatorship we see in front of our eyes.
Vidíme pred sebou, pred nami vlastne úplne katastrofu toho diktátora.
Dictatorship is catastrophe. Putin demonstrated in a big time now, and he kills dictatorship as an option.
Putin to tak demonstruje a vlastne tým pádom diktátorstvo sa stane už nemožným, že už to nebude možnosť.
So, three big good news in the middle of this catastrophe.
Takže sú tu tri dobré správy uprostred tejto katastrofy.
The end of industrial lies, they just don't work.
Koniec takých nejakých lží už nefungujú,
There is something like facts.
lebo existujú aj fakty.
And sooner or later you can see what the facts are.
Skôr či neskôr zistíte, aké sú tie fakty.
The end of we don't care about our neighbor because it's not at home, the emergence of new international empathy.
Vlastne tá nová vlna medzinárodnej empatie, že už neplatí to, že však to len tam niekde za horami, za dolami sa deje. Hej?
And the end of dictatorship as a viable option.
A tretia vec je koniec diktátorstva ako nejakej možnej možnosti.
Not because of ideological reasons,
A nie kvôli ideologickým
it
dôvodom,
just doesn't work.
ale nefunguje to.
Look at them. It's a complete fiasco.
Je to fiasko.
This is the good news out of this catastrophe. It's an evolution for the whole of humanity paid by Ukrainian blood.
Čiže je to evolúcia pre celé ľudstvo, ale je vykúpená tou ukrajinskou krvou.
I gave a seminar about gratitude in time of crisis.
Mal som nedávno seminár, ktorý sa volal Vďačnosť v čase krízy.
What can we be grateful for in times like this?
Že za čo môžeme byť vďační v takejto dobe.
But because the Ukrainian family became a part of my family, I asked Natasha to join us.
Popýtal som tu Natašu, ktorá sa stala súčasťou našej rodiny.
She lives with us with her two children, and she's a Waldorf teacher from Kiev.
Popýtal som ju, aby sa k nám pridala. Ona je, teda už žije s nami, je z Kieva, Waldorfská
Said
učiteľka.
Natasha, I'm speaking about what is there to be grateful for in a time of crisis like this, and you live with us. Come on, say something. I'm not going to speak if you don't join me, because you are here. Tell us, what is there to be grateful for in the time of crisis? And she's a refugee from Kiev, and the father of her children is fighting them.
Tak som ju popýtal, že mohla by si ty niečo povedať, lebo keď mám hovoriť o tejto téme, vďačnosť v čase krízy, tak kto o tom viacej môže povedať? Napríklad jej muž proste ostal na Ukrajine a bojuje tam.
She said, people are waking up for the difference between humanity and evil.
Ona povedala, že ľudia sa vďaka tomuto, čo sa deje, prebudzajú a zistujú, aký je rozdiel medzi dobrom a zlom.
So much love, she said, is coming up towards us Ukrainian people from so many countries in the world, people who didn't even know where Kiev was before.
Že strašne veľa lásky prichádza k nám, Ukrajincom, dokonca od ľudí, ktorí nevedeli, kde je Kiev predtým.
Something good is coming out of it, she said, and she doesn't even know if her flat is not ruined in Kiev yet.
Že hovorí, že niečo dobre z toho bude, hej, a pritom ani nevie, či ten jej byt nebol zbombardovaný.
She didn't know if there's a home to come back to.
Nevie, či sa má kam vrátiť.
She said something good will come out of it.
Aj tak povedala, že niečo dobré z toho príde.
I said, paid with Ukrainian blood.
A ja som povedal, áno, len je to zaplatené ukrajinskou krvou.
She said, Christ also paid with blood.
Ona povedala, že aj Kristus platil krvou.
I couldn't ask any more questions after that.
Už som potom sa aj nič nemohol pýtať.
So, friends, end of my introduction. There's much more I can tell you about Ukrainian history. I can show you that it's absolute bloody lie. They didn't exist. They existed before Moscow existed.
Takže toľko zatiaľ môj úvod. Mohol by som vám oveľa viacej hovoriť napríklad o histórii Ukrajiny, že by ste počuli, že to je úplná lož, že Ukrajina neexistovala, však existovali ešte pred Moskvou.
Same as the Slovaks were here long before the Magyars came to destroy Great Moravia.
Aj Slováci tu boli ešte predtým, ako Maďari prišli a zničili Veľkú Moravu.
Maybe you forgot King Svatopluk. I did not.
Keď ste náhodou zabudli na kráľa Svätopluka, ja som nezabudol.
And we, after 2000 years, came back to Israel.
My sme sa po 2000 rokoch vrátili do Izraela.
We had a book to prove that it was our land.
Mali sme takú knihu, ktorá dokazovala, že to je naša zem.
Everybody tried to destroy the Jews, Israelis, and they failed. We have our country.
Každý sa nás snažil zničiť, ale oni prehrali, lebo máme svoju krajinu.
So, lies cannot stand because they have no legs.
Čiže lži nemôžu stáť na nohách, lebo nemajú nohy.
I stop now and I open it for discussion. There's a few of us. You don't have to agree with me and you can express your opinions. I am a historian, so I do a lot to research each time, but maybe I can answer questions because I think about it and I read about it a lot. And I was born to a Ukrainian family.
Čiže nemusíte so mnou samozrejme súhlasiť. Môžete sa pýtať, môžete mať hociaké otázky, ja som aj historik a sa týmto veľmi zaoberám, robím si svoj vlastný výskum, čiže myslím, že vám budem vedieť zodpovedať nejaké otázky.
My father family from Bulgaria, so I'm pan-Slavonic.
Ja som z druhej časti, môj otec bol z Bulharska, čiže som vlastne Slovan.
I believe in Ludwig Stur, pan-Slavonia.
A verím v to panslavstvo Štúra.
Didn't happen yet, it will.
Ešte sa to neudialo, ale môže sa.
Not as a nationalistic movement, but as a futuristic movement for humanity.
Nemyslím ako také nacionalistické nejaké hnutie, ale skôr ako nejaké futuristické.
In spite of the demonization of Russia.
Napriek tej demonizácii Ruska.
I'm also Russian.
Lebo som aj z Ruska.
It's not a conflict between Russians and Ukrainians.
Čiže nie je to podľa mňa konflikt medzi Rusmi a
It's
Ukrajincami.
a conflict between those who move humanity forward and those who want to drag us back to the Middle Ages.
Čiže pre mňa to je konflikt ohľadom toho, alebo medzi tými, ktorí chcú zobrať ľudstvo a posunúť ho vpred a medzi tými, ktorí chcú stiahnuť ľudstvo naspäť až do stredoveku.
Ukraine will survive, will recover, and will be much more important than ever before.
Ukrajina to prežije, zotaví sa a bude oveľa dôležitejšie ako kedykoľvek predtým.
Nobody will doubt the reality of Ukraine after this.
A nikto nebude pochybovať o tej realite Ukrajiny po tomto.
Russia, I don't think it will survive. I don't think it will recover in my lifetime or in your lifetime. Russia is destroyed for a century.
Čo sa Ruska týka, tak podľa mňa je na celé storočie zničené Rusko. Hej, že asi sa z toho nezotavia ani počas môjho života, ani počas vášho.
I cannot see Russia recover from this.
Ja nedokážem vidieť, že by Rusko sa z tohto mohlo tak rýchlo zotaviť.
In its present form.
Myslím v tej forme, v akom je teraz.
Putin destroyed
V akej je teraz.
Russia.
Čiže Putin zničil Rusko.
Okay, open up, let's talk. If you have anything to say.
Poďme sa o tom porozprávať. Povedzte čokoľvek chcete, alebo sa spýtajte.
What do you think that
It's okay.
what will happen to Russia and its government after the war will be over?
Že čo sa stane s Ruskom a vládou, keď skončí vojna?
Well, let's start from what is happening already.
Tak poďme sa pozrieť na to, že čo už sa teraz deje.
They wanted to be more safe and stop NATO's expansion. NATO is expanding.
Chceli zastaviť, aby NATO sa nerozširovalo a teraz vidia, že NATO sa rozširuje.
All the way. In Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech, of course Germany, Baltic states, they only have Kaliningrad and Transnistria in Ukraine. And then it goes up north to Finland and Sweden and Norway and Finland already in NATO. Russia is completely surrounded with NATO. Total failure. What will happen? Isolation is happening.
Čiže čo sa deje, je izolácia, lebo už vlastne Rusko je z každej strany obklopené NATO.
800 top international brands of companies, mainly in high tech, in everything, cut connection with Russia. Standard of living dropped to half.
Čiže tie spoločnosti, také medzinárodné, 800 ich bolo, odišli z Ruska a to vlastne ten životný štandard znížilo o polovicu.
Price is doubling in everything.
Ceny sa zdvojnásobili.
But even if you have money, you cannot buy much because the shelves getting empty.
A aj keď máte peniaze, veľa si nekúpite, lebo už na tých, nemáte si čo kúpiť.
The main tank in the Russian operation, T-72, they cannot, a third of it is destroyed. They cannot reproduce it without Western chips.
Without what?
Western IT.
Aha. A nevedia tie tanky, ktoré sú ničené, nevedia ich opraviť, lebo nemajú západnú techniku.
The T-90 and the higher ranks, they cannot produce them at all. What they are producing is a very low quality. The whole prestige of Russian army dropped completely. It's corrupt, and they've got nothing between generals and unwilling conscripts. So it's not a great power anymore. They lost that.
Aj tú silu tej armády už strátili, už tam nemá veľmi kto byť.
They lost the market. All they've got to export is oil and gas, and Europe is quickly adjusting to live without them.
Čiže už stratili aj trh. Jediné, čo exportujú, je benzín a ropa, tuším. Tak už sa Európa snaží od nich odstrihnúť, aby nemuseli to dovážať.
Only supporter is China, and China is facing a financial crisis much bigger than 2008. Mm-hmm. China's economy is facing total collapse because they built ghost towns. You can feed the population of Italy in houses which are completely unlivable around Shanghai and Beijing. The Chinese economy is going to fall. Nothing is going to support Russia.
Jedine, kto ich podporuje, je Čína, ale tá ide dole z kopca. Je na tom oveľa horšie ako v 2008.
All the promises to the Russian people are broken.
Všetky sľuby Rusom, ktoré boli dané, sú aj porušované.
They accept to shut the mouth for 20 years under Putin as long as the standard of living is growing. That was the contract.
Ten kontrakt bol, že budú ticho Rusi, aby ten životný štandard stúpal.
Shut up, out of politics, your life will improve. That was the contract for 20 years.
20 rokov to trvalo, že buďte ticho a my vám zabezpečíme, aby váš životný štandard stúpol.
Standard of living is dropping.
Ale teraz to vlastne
drastically.
Drasticky klesá.
I can continue. It's in ruins and it's going down and there is no prospect of recovery.
Čiže mohol by som pokračovať, ono je to celé vlastne sa to rozpadáva, ide to smerom dole a nevyzerá to, že by bol niekde možný návrat alebo zlepšenie.
If he's losing Crimea and Donbass, he has to run away.
Čiže ak vlastne príde o Krym a Donbass, tak potom bude musieť utiecť.
If he hangs on to Donbass and Crimea, the sanctions continue.
Ale ak sa bude držať Krymu a Donbassu, tak tie sankcie budú pokračovať.
He cannot win.
Takže nevie ten spôsob, ako by vyhral.
So it is catastrophe in the making. The Russian people will be poor, cut off, and left behind technologically. Left behind technologically is a death sentence for a country today.
Čiže je to taká dosť zlá situácia pre Rusov, lebo budú chudobní, budú odstrihnutí od všetkého a aj v technológiách zaostanú a čo sa týka ako byť zaostali v technológiách, tak to máte ako trest smrti v súčasnosti.
You know something about Slovakia?
O Slovensku niečo viete?
Where would we be today without international investment, international connection, top technology, IT completely involved, integration into Europe? What would happen to Slovakia with embargoes?
Čo by sa stalo na Slovensku, keby sme tu zrazu mali uvalené nejaké embargo? Čo by sa stalo, keby sme neboli súčasťou nejakých tých medzinárodných štruktúr a keby sme nemali tie technológie, ktoré máme? Ekonomicky.
We'll go back to ship. That's it.
My sme šli naspäť k ovciam.
Very good, ship cheese.
Ale pizza chutí dobre.
Can you imagine Slovakia without European integration?
Viete si predstaviť Slovensko bez európskej integrácie?
That's what's going to happen.
To sa vlastne stane Rusku.
They're going to be left behind. It takes them a century to recover.
Oni tak sa proste zastanú v čase a bude im trvať 100 rokov minimálne, kým sa zotavia.
A Russian diplomat in Geneva, he was responsible for arms control, international expert on arms control in the United Nations camp in Geneva. He resigned 2 days ago.
Nejaký diplomát v Ženeve, asi ruský diplomát, pred 3 dňami rezignoval. Bol to nejaký expert na neviem čo, o ktorom sa dozvieme.
I'm ashamed of my country.
A povedal, že ja sa hanbím za svoju krajinu.
All my colleagues are ashamed of our country.
A všetci moji kolegovia sa hanbia za moju za našu krajinu.
Afraid to speak.
Boja sa hovoriť.
I just cannot take it anymore.
A on povedal, ja už to nevládzem proste ďalej držať.
I'm not going back.
Ja sa tam nevrátim.
Russians are ashamed of the country.
Rusi sa hanbia za svoju krajinu.
Ask Frauke what it's like to be third generation in Germany. Frauke is from Hamburg after the war. They don't recover from this collective guilt. Fourth generation.
Keď by ste sa spýtali Frauke, ona je z Nemecka, z Hamburgu, tak ako to je v Nemecku s tou kolektívnou vinou. Ona je už vlastne 3. generáciou po vojne a že ešte stále sa z toho nezotavili.
And even there, after total defeat in the war, total change of regime, and humiliation internationally, and acknowledging the guilt and paying compensation, and they're still recovering. What will happen to Russia? When will they recover?
A to pritom bolo Nemecko totálne porazené, uznalo si všetku tú hanbu, vinu, a proste platilo kompenzácie a neviem čo všetko a aj tak sa ešte stále z toho zotavujú. A čo sa stane potom s Ruskom?
And Hitler didn't do anything like what they're doing in Ukraine to Europe.
A Hitler v Európe nerobil nič také, ako robí Putin na Ukrajine.
He took Prague, he didn't destroy it. He took Vienna, he didn't destroy it. He took Bratislava, he didn't destroy it. They destroy everything.
Dobre, zobral si Prahu, ale nezničil ju. Alebo Viedeň, alebo Bratislavu, ale nezničil ich.
He just destroyed the Jews. They didn't have a country.
On ničil Židov, oni nemali krajinu.
He didn't destroy a country, he destroyed a tribe. And the tribe survived.
Neničil krajiny, ničil ten jeden kmeň a on to tak či tak prežil.
Have you seen pictures of Mariupol? Have you seen pictures of Kharkiv? Have you seen pictures of the cities? Beautiful cities, cultural centers, hospitals, schools, just destroying the infrastructure. Ukraine was feeding tens of millions of people. They cannot export wheat anymore. A third of Africa is going to starve. Who did that before? Nobody did it before.
Keď si pozriete tie mesta, hej, ako sú zničené, ako tá infraštruktúra, všetko je zničené, a pritom to boli krásne miesta. Ja neviem, tretina Afriky bude trpieť tým, že nebudú môcť tam doviesť to.
Hitler conquered Czechoslovakia. Within a few months, Škoda was producing with full employment. They didn't destroy it, they used it. No, they're destroying Ukraine.
Čiže oni ničia Ukrajinu, hej? Ani Hitler toto nerobil. Keď prevzal kontrolu nad Československom, tak Škoda za pár mesiacov zase začala vyrábať.
So, it breaks my heart to think what will happen to Russia, because I'm not anti-Russian, I'm half Russian.
Ono mi to tak láme srdce, pretože ja nie som proti Rusom, hej, ja som z polovice aj Rus.
My mother was Russian, my former wife, my child is Russian, been to Moscow times. I love Russian culture and music and literature. I'm really, really sad for Russia.
Som naozaj smutný, aj je mi toho ľúto, lebo moja bývalá žena je z Ruska, môj syn je Rus, bol som v Moskve párkrát. Jednoducho je to úžasná kultúra a teraz mi je z toho len smutno.
There's no doubt that Russia saved the world from the victory of Nazism. There's no question about it. They paid with 20 million dead.
Nie je pochyb o tom, že Rusko zachránilo Európu pred nacizmom. Hej? 20 miliónov mŕtvych o tom svedčí.
It was normal to be a proud Russian.
Bolo to normálne byť takým hrdým Rusom.
No more.
Ale už to nie je tak.
That's what I know about what's going to happen to Russia.
Tak toľko viem o tom, že čo sa stane.
And I don't see them recovering in my lifetime.
A nezdá sa mi, že by sa z toho dokázali zotaviť počas môjho života.
Or yours, and I wish you a long life.
Alebo počas vášho života.
Sure.
Neviem, lebo ja by som to chcela úplne od iného konca zobrať, potom z tej hľadiska také povedzme, že tej našej témy, že empatia, ako v rámci takého optimistického pohľadu alebo pozitivizmu, ktorý to teraz ako z čisto osobného hľadiska, že riešim si dceru, ročnú, a tiež si uvedomujem, že to moje diktátorstvo nepomáha. Tie tlaky na ňu určite nie sú tá najlepšia cesta, a preto som si to zase preniesla do toho veľkého vesmíru, že to diktátorstvo naozaj všeobecne nevidím ako budúcnosť, a asi nikto z nás, kto sme na tejto škole. Takže v podstate naozaj sa teším ako na druhej strane, že ono to určite si aj k tomu, aby sme my morálne dostali. Tak ako je Jehudová vlastne vízia byť bratmi a sestrami na týmto sestrami. Že v podstate ako v konečnom dôsledku možno nevieme, ako to dopadne v jednotlivých krajinách teraz, ale moja taká vnútorná viera vidí tak, že v podstate to smeruje tam, aby to diktátorstvo v jednotlivých krajinách prehralo, včetne našich malých vesmírov, ako sme napríklad my matky, ktoré by sme sa chceli do tej pozície niekedy postaviť, alebo rodičia, a otcovia takisto, alebo aj tie malé deti. Takže tak.
Že vlastne je to skôr taký komentár, hej?
Ja akože takým potrebovala som ten názor.
Dobre, len či som neprehliadla otázku. Okay, so it's something as a comment that Gabita wanted to share. She's trying to look at it from empathy point of view and trying to look at what's going on in the world and what's going on in her little universe. And she can see that dictatorship doesn't help even her 14-year-old daughter when she is pushing her, that it's not good. So she's just hoping that the vision that you sometimes bring, like that one day we will become all brothers and sisters, that it can happen.
I think it is happening, but also the opposite is happening.
No, mne sa zdá, že tá vízia toho, že ľudia budú bratia a sestry, že sa to deje, ale že sa deje aj ten opak.
There is no evolution without devolution.
Neexistuje evolúcia bez takej devolúcie.
For something new to come, there always is resistance, and the resistance makes you strong when you grow.
Mm-hmm. Preto, aby niečo nové prišlo, sa narodilo, vždy je nejaký odpor. A ten odpor ťa vlastne posilňuje, že skrz ten odpor môžeš vyrásť.
There was a time for autocracy.
Boli časy, keď bolo na mieste, že existovala autokracia.
It worked.
Fungovala.
And it still works when your children are little. You are the autocrat.
Napríklad aj keď máte malé deti, tak to celkom funguje. A potrebujú oni, aby vy ste boli tá hlava, hej, ten autokrat.
And if you're not, they're really disappointed. They expect somebody to know what's going on.
Tie maličké deti, hej, ak nie ste ten autokrat pri tých malých deťoch, tak sú sklamané z vás, lebo oni očakávajú, že niekto bude vedieť, čo sa tu
Come
deje.
age 14, it doesn't work.
Ale už v 14-ke to nefunguje.
Age 15, it's really irritating.
Už keď je ten syn, dcera 15-ročný, tak to už je iritovaný.
Age 16 is guerrilla war. Age 17 is an open warfare.
V 16-ke je to tá partizánska vojna a v 17-ke otvorená vojna.
Come 18 to 20, look at that. Just look at that.
Keď majú 18 až 20, tak sa na nich pozri.
And if they don't look dangerous, you just don't look clear. They're dangerous.
Ak nevyzerajú nebezpečne, tak si sa nepozrela dobre.
The same with humanity. There was a time when we were children and we needed somebody to tell us what to do.
To isté platí pre ľudstvo. Boli časy, keď sme boli ako deti a potrebovali sme niekoho, kto nám povedal, čo máme robiť.
I have some great role models as autocrats that worked, like King David and King Solomon and Louis XIV and Peter the Great was great.
Mm-hmm. Takže ja mám nejakých autokratov, ktorí boli skvelí a fungovalo to v ich dobe. Ja neviem, kráľ Dávid, Šalamún, alebo Ľudovít XIV, alebo Peter Veľký. Im to proste fungovalo.
You want to admire a leader, a real leader from the old days? Study Peter the Great biography. He created Russia with a great power.
Keď chcete študovať veľkého lídra, tak si preštudujte Petra Veľkého. On vytvoril Rusko.
I can tell you a lot about Peter the Great. It's fascinating. I recommend you to study his biography. It's amazing what this guy did. Single-handed. Took Russia from the Middle Ages to the modern era just because he decided to, and you couldn't say no to Peter the Great.
Čiže ja som fascinovaný Petrom Veľkým. Veľmi vám odporúčam všetkým, preštudujte si jeho životopis. Zobral Rusko proste zo stredoveku do modernej éry, len preto, že sa rozhodol.
You know, Russia had enemies from all sides.
Rusko malo nepriateľov z každej strany.
Paranoia is a Russian invention, like vodka.
Paranoja, takisto ako vodka, je ruský vynález.
They're growing up with vodka and paranoia because the world is against them.
Because the world
is against them.
Aha, čiže oni vyrastajú s tou paranojou a s vodkou, lebo ten svet je proti ním.
The Turks from the south, the Swedes from the north, the Tatars from the west, from the east, and the Poles and the Lithuanian and the rest of Europe from the east. And Russia is surrounded by people who want to destroy it. It's true.
Rusko je vlastne obklopené tými národmi, ktoré ho chceli zničiť.
And there was a war, end of 19th century, Russia against the Turks. Guess who Britain supported? They supported the Turks. So they invaded Crimea. So Russia is on guard. Who is going to try to destroy us next? If it's not Napoleon, it is Hitler. Somebody is going to destroy us. This is Russia.
Čiže Rusko je stále na stráži, že kto nás bude teraz chcieť zničiť. Napoleon, Hitler alebo kto ďalší.
Because we are the future of humanity and they want to destroy us. We work for God and Rushi Shalabyaki, the future of humanity, and everything else is the devil. This is Russia.
Lebo my sme tou budúcnosťou ľudstva a proste preto nás chcú zničiť.
You listen to the songs, you see that. Power, we are the future.
Keď budete počúvať ich piesne, tak to tam budete počuť, že áno, my sme tá budúcnosť, v tom je tá sila.
Well, Peter decided that he cannot be a great... So the only way for Russia to survive is to expand.
A ten Peter Veľký sa rozhodol, že jediný spôsob, ako Rusko môže prežiť, je, že bude expandovať.
Same with Stalin, same with Putin, only it doesn't work anymore.
A to isté platilo pre Stalina, to isté platí pre Putina, ale už to nefunguje.
So Peter decided to make Russia into a great navy nation. They have no access to the sea at all.
Takže on sa rozhodol urobiť z Ruska veľkú námornú veľmoc. So pritom nemajú prístup k moru.
So he took the whole court to Rotterdam and then to London to get a diploma in shipbuilding. Peter the Great, the Tsar, went to do a diploma in how to build ships. He got a shipwright document from Amsterdam and then he went to London because he thought the British ships are better. And he created a navy without having one port.
Čiže on sa išiel školiť, zobral celý ten dvor so sebou, Notre Dame alebo Amsterdam alebo neviem kde a Londýn, aby sa vyškolil, že aby sa stal tým moreplavcom, pritom nemal ani jeden prístav.
What are you doing?
Čo to robil?
You'll see later.
On povedal, však uvidíš potom.
Next, he fights the Turks and get the Black Sea.
Potom
Rostov-on-Don.
napadol Turkov, získal Čierne more.
Next, he fights the Swedes and creates St. Petersburg. In the middle of the mud on the river Nava, he created a new city just because he decided to. St. Petersburg.
A napadol Švédov, vytvoril St. Peterburg len preto, že sa rozhodol.
The Baltic. He made Russia into a great navy.
Čiže urobil z Ruska veľkú námornú veľmoc.
So what I'm saying is, this was 18th century, it still worked.
Ono to bolo v 18. storočí a ešte to fungovalo.
Henry the 14th, la tête de moi. Do I say it right? La tête de moi. La tête de moi. The state is me. How do you say it properly? La tête de moi. Louis the 14th. I am the state. The Sun King.
Tak povedal to isté, čo Ľudovít 14. Hej, že ja som slnko, ja som štát.
It worked for his generation, it didn't work for his grandchild.
Ale neplatí pre jeho vnúkov.
So there was a time when autocracy worked.
Čiže boli časy, keď autokracia fungovala.
Catherine the Great also, great queen. Elizabeth I, there was a time when great monarchs worked.
Aj Katarína Veľká, Alžbeta I, boli časy, keď tí monarchovia fungovali.
Many examples like that.
Je veľa takýchto príkladov.
But it's a principle of the past.
Ale ten princíp už je v minulosti.
It's like trying to control an 18, 20-year-old strong boy as if he was 10. It's gonna work. It breaks them, it breaks him, it breaks everything.
Je to také niečo, ako keby ste 18-20 ročného mladého muža chceli kontrolovať, ako by mal 10 rokov. No, ono to zničí vás, zničí to jeho a zničí to všetko.
Time to stop breaking, guys. Time to build.
Time to what?
To stop breaking.
Už netreba nič lámať.
Nobody will treat you as children anymore.
Teda už netreba nič ničiť, lebo už nikto sa k vám, dospelým, nebude správať, ako by ste boli deti.
Look at the hands.
Pozrite na ich ruky.
Try to treat them like children. I advise you against that.
Skúste sa k nim správať, ako by boli deti. No, ja vám to neodporúčam.
Humanity has grown up.
Že ľudstvo vyrástlo.
And the autocrats are not inspired anymore.
Autokrati už nie sú inšpirovaní.
It becomes idiotic.
No už nie sú inšpiráciou ani inšpirovaní, proste sú to
The whole
idioti.
intelligence of the whole Russian people is limited to the intelligence and paranoia of one man. What do you expect?
Celá inteligencia ruského národa je teraz limitovaná tou inteligenciou jedného tohto idiota, tak čo očakávame?
The wise, ancient Chinese wisdom of these industrious, wise people is limited to one person and nobody is arguing with him. What do you expect?
Čo očakávate, keď proste toto múdre, tá múdrosť ruská je obmedzená len tou múdrosťou jedného človeka. Nikto sa s ním ani o tom neháda.
Why did Apple succeed? Why did Microsoft succeed? Why does Facebook succeed? They consult. It's brainstorm. They give power to the workers. People sit around desks and think together about the new idea. It's a brainstorming. It's a teamwork. It's a diversity of opinion that works for modern technology. Not one person decided everything. It's ridiculous. It's regressive.
V modernej dobe už to nefunguje tak, že jeden človek rozhoduje a už ak chcete napredovať, tak potrebujete počúvať ľudí, potrebujete robiť brainstorming a proste zapojiť tam viacerých ľudí do toho.
It doesn't work in the army.
A v armáde toto nefunguje.
Putin is making decisions in the battlefield. He's a spy. He doesn't understand strategy at all. He is dictating everything. There are conscripts and generals, nothing in between. So no local initiative, no local decision. You drop from a level of general, they cannot make decisions. They always have to ask permission. I come from an army when 5 soldiers can decide the battlefield. Everyone is a general. People think freely, talk freely, argue with commanders, find the strategy. Something in the fuck up we learn from it. It's rotten in the core, the whole thing does not work, they don't consult, a dictatorship is completely old program.
Čiže to diktátorstvo už je dnes starý program. Hej, aj v armáde je to tak, aj všade.
I would do nothing in Slovakia without a team of independent thinkers. Nothing.
By som na Slovensku nič neurobil bez týmu nezávislých ľudí.
So, Putin is destroying what's left of dictatorship. After him, nobody will think it can work.
Čiže Putin takto ničí všetko tým svojim diktátorstvom.
We need a conversation.
Potrebujeme konverzáciu.
We need a meeting of 2 people that produce the intelligence of 10, not a meeting of 2 people that produce the intelligence of half of a person.
Potrebujeme stretnutie 2 ľudí, ktoré bude mať za následok inteligenciu, ako by tam boli 10. A nie také stretnutie 2 ľudí, ktoré vyprodukuje inteligenciu pol človeka.
We need to mobilize the intelligence of individuals into a collective effort.
Čiže zmobilizovať inteligenciu individualít do toho spoločného úsilia.
Look at the leading economies in the world. What has Denmark got in natural resources? Wind. What has Finland got in natural resources? Snow. Look at the leading economies just because people think and talk and exchange. Who led the revolution of telephony? Nokia from Finland. A small country with trees and lagoons, because they are thinking people and they talk to each other and nobody controls them.
Takže keď zoberiete také Fínsko, Dánsko, malé krajiny, nemajú nejaké veľké prírodné zdroje, ale majú ľudí, ktorí myslia. Hej? A to je to, čo v modernej dobe potrebujeme, ak máme napredovať.
People are free to speak. Corruption cannot survive too much.
Ak ľudia majú slobodu prejavu, tak korupcia to neprežije.
One person dominate, corruption everywhere.
Je tam jeden človek, ktorý je dominantný, tak korupcia je všade.
We drove yesterday from Novobes to this morning to
Pašite?
Košice via pressure. It took a long time. Why? Because the tunnel is closed. The tunnel of 5 kilometers. How do you call this tunnel?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. So Veronica told us a story. This was created just after communism in the greatest time of corruption in Slovakia. So it took years to create it because all the money for the tunnels was tunneled to oligarchs. It's the same word I understand in Slovak, to tunnel the money out. So there was no tunnel. What happened with the tunnel? No tunnel. Had to go through all these mountains to get to Prussia, they had family in Prussia, because the tunnel could not be completed because of corruption.
Tak ako aj na Slovensku poznáme tunelovanie, aj tunely sa tunelovali, možno sa ešte tunelujú, aj kvôli korupcii.
I don't know how you overcame this corruption. I think eventually by joining the EU, you had to live by the standards. Dictatorship is corruption.
Čiže diktátorstvo je korupcia.
They say in England, power tend to corrupt.
V Anglicku sa hovorí, že moc má tendenciu korumpovať.
Total power corrupts totally.
A keď má niekto totálnu moc, tak toho skorumpuje totálne.
Putin destroys dictatorship.
Teda Putin ho zničí to diktátorstvo.
Hitler destroyed National Socialism, Stalin destroyed communism, and Putin destroyed dictatorship.
Hitler zničil nacionálny socializmus, Stalin komunizmus a tento Putin diktátorstvo.
Mussolini destroyed fascism. These were honorable ideas at the time.
A Mussolini zničil fašizmus, ono samé o sebe tie idei, oni boli také úctyhodné, ale tí ľudia ich vlastne zničili.
There's a technical problem. It doesn't work.
Teda s diktátorstvom technický problém je ten, že už nefunguje.
Why communism fell?
Prečo padol komunizmus?
It just didn't work.
Už to nefungovalo.
It's not the future.
Takže nie je to budúcnosť.
You had a question, sir?
Yeah, just members. So we were talking in the last days now that the Slovakia is a country with many options because we can get really rich by cheating in politics. So my question is kind of more complex. Like, how is it possible that people which have the option to believe in some certain truths?
I missed the word. How is it possible that people believe?
Yeah, like they're disagreeing. They just, can they believe in that, like for example, Russian propaganda?
Yeah.
But there are people that who decides of what makes them think that they are believing in the right thing. Because in Russia they all are like fulfilled with Russian propaganda, and nobody says like there are certain types of people who decided to do something, but they end up in jail. So we decide.
Very interesting question, and instead of answering it, I will interview somebody who knows it very intimately, okay?
Okay, I'll translate.
Yeah.
Čiže otázka znie, že kto rozhoduje o tom, že či niečomu dôverovať alebo veriť je to správne, hej? Dobre, som to zachytila? Plus minus, hej?
OK.
A niekomu chce dať túto otázku, Yehuda?
Camille, your mama is not here. But you know her. So can you please explain to us why your mama believes every word that Putin says? What? You know her for many years. What's going on? Explain to us. What's going on there?
Well, I have this theory that people who don't live their lives during their productive epoch, for example, they feel harmed by something in their life, so somebody harmed them, or they didn't fulfill their possibilities. They feel they want to be heard and accepted, and they have deficit of this in their life, so they somehow are looking for higher truth, and they tend to seek simple answers, which is provided by this propaganda, and they feel like they are exceptional. They are amongst few that understand how the world is working, and
So are you saying that they feel so inferior, they need to develop something superior to feel okay?
yes.
Translate that.
Čiže ja len preložím Jehuda, čo povedala, to potom... Áno, aha. Hej. Čiže tí, čo sa cítia ukrivdení, potom ľahko uveria, že aha, tak toto je, že už chápem, ale my to vieme, lebo oni nám to povedali, hej, také niečo. Kamil was looking for the word that they have some, maybe some pain or something not digested, and that's why.
I don't think I can add much to that. I completely agree with Kamil.
No, súhlasím s Kamilom.
I think these not use the system in order to succeed, so they blame the system for the failures, and anybody who is against the system is a hero.
Čiže oni sú v podstate takí lúzri, hej, že nedosiahli veľa v svojom živote a musia za to niekoho viniť. No tak vinia systém a každý, kto je vlastne proti systému, je im taký priateľný, hej, lebo ten systém je zlý, takže keď ty si proti systému, tak ty sa mi páčiš.
Look who is supporting President Trump.
Napríklad, kto podporuje prezidenta Trumpa?
The losers.
Lúzri.
What's called in America losers.
V Amerike to tak volajú, že
People who
lúzri.
didn't make it in any way.
Takí ľudia, čo nejako sa nepresadili.
Let's blame somebody.
Poďme niekoho
They're
obviniť.
blamers.
Oni obviňujú.
College-educated people don't support him. Successful people don't. These are the losers, and those who make money from the losers, they support him.
Čiže sú to skôr takí tí lúzri, alebo tí, čo zarábajú na lúzroch. Hej, nie sú to tí nejakí ľudia vzdelaní, alebo tí, ktorí sú úspešní.
It's a culture of blaming.
Čiže je to taká kultúra obviňovania.
Blaming. Everything that is going wrong, somebody else's fault.
Že oni proste majú taký zvyk obviňovať. Stále je niečo niekoho iného chyba.
Hitler took over.
Hitler prevzal kontrolu.
13 million people voted for him freely in the last democratic election in Germany as a chancellor. 13 million Germans, the most educated nation in Europe, because they were broken by the First World War, because they were losing, they were not winning, because they needed somebody to blame, and he was very good at that.
Prečo ľudia volili Hitlera? No lebo boli sklamaní z tej prvej svetovej vojny a potrebovali niekoho obviniť a Hitler bol dobrý v tom obviňovaní.
What was the glue? How did he put them together?
Ako bolo to lepidlo? Ako ich dal dokopy?
Super glue, hatred.
To super lepidlo je nenávisť.
Let's find somebody that everybody can hate easily, the Jews. It's all their fault.
Koho by tak mohli ľudia nenávidieť veľmi ľahko? No, Židov, takže je to všetko ich vina.
Who's next? The socialists and the communists
Potom ďalej budú socialisti, komunisti
and the liberals.
a asi liberáli.
Buchenwald,
Buchen.
Kristallnacht. Destroy them. Nuremberg laws. Hate, 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 hate. People loved it.
On šíril tú nenávisť a ľudia to milovali.
Why is Germany destroyed? They fought a stupid war with a crazy Kaiser who is fighting East and West at the same time against all the doctrines. It was a losing war. Germany could not win it. Let's blame somebody.
Takže asi to isto povedal, že poďme obviniť niekoho a koho môžeme obviniť, tak tých iných.
So hatred works better than sex.
Takže nenávisť funguje lepšie ako sex.
Really, look at American movies. A bit of sex, a lot of violence. Hatred works.
A keď sa pozriete na americké filmy, je tam trošku sexu a veľa násilia. Čiže nenávisť funguje.
Big chili, the strong spice is aggression and a bit of spice of sex, and it sells. Works. It's a magical formula. Lots of aggression, a bit of sex, it sells. Hatred, popular.
To, čo predáva, to, čo je populárne, je tá nenávisť, čiže tie filmy sú založené na veľa násilí a trošku chili je tam toho sexu.
It's much more difficult to love than to hate. Hate is just going back to the jungle. It's just falling down is easy.
Je to ťažšie proste milovať, ľúbiť, ako nenávidieť. Tá nenávisť to je len, že sa vrátite do džungle a tam to je ľahké.
Russian economy didn't work for the people.
Ruská ekonomika nefungovala pre ľudí.
The biggest country in the world.
Je to najväčšia krajina na svete.
Stretching from the Pacific to here.
Od Pacifického oceánu až po tam.
Mineral resources like to kill for everything. Diamond, gas, oil, everything. And they live in poverty. Why? Because of corruption. So who is to blame? Ukrainian.
Neuveriteľné prírodné zdroje, no ale zároveň chudoba, no prečo? Lebo korupcia, takže koho obviníme? Ukrajinu.
And those who join them, they need to blame somebody. The system doesn't work for me. Something is wrong with the system. Who is against the system? My hero.
Takže tí, čo sa k ním pripojili, to sú tí, ktorí tiež potrebujú niekoho obviniť, tak obvinia systém a kto je proti systému, je môj hrdina.
What stops you from starting a new party and fight the election and win something, you know? I mean, we've got interesting president in Slovakia. She is not a politician, she just had enough. But people supported her because she was more human. Friends, you can be cynical about democracy, but don't be too cynical about democracy because have you got a better system? So you can do here stuff. You've got freedom here. It's a economically free country. It's open for startups. It's open for international communication. You know, look at us. We're in Europe. That's the rules of the game played. You can't blame somebody. That's what's happening.
Takže tu na Slovensku máte slobodu. Hej, keď chcete, tak kľudne si môžete založiť stranu a buď vás zvolia, alebo vás nezvolia. A akýkoľvek môžete byť cynický ohľadne demokracie, tak proste je tu tá sloboda. A máte lepší systém? No nemáme. Nemáte, takže aspoň tú demokraciu môžeme mať.
But I think Camille gave a deeper answer to that. He said if people don't fulfill their potential in their productive years, it's bitterness in us all.
Myslím, že Kamil to tak lepšie vyjadril v tom, keď povedal, že ľudia, keď nenaplnia svoj potenciál v ich produktívnom veku, tak v nich ostane taká horkosť.
If people don't fulfill the potential in a productive way when they're powerful, they cannot be their own leaders. They don't trust themselves to be their own leaders. It creates a vacuum. I need a leader, somebody to believe in, somebody strong. I cannot be strong, somebody strong. and he's my God.
Lebo ľudia, keď nenaplnia svoj potenciál, keď na to majú silu, tak potom sa v nich vytvorí také nejaké vákuum a oni potrebujú si ho naplniť. Čiže hľadajú, že kto môže byť ten môj líder, no lebo ja nie som líder, hej, kto som ja? Ja som nikto, ale určite ten líder, tento vie, tento proste pozná a ja ho potrebujem.
And people like Putin are parasites of this weakness. They feed on it, they live on it.
A ľudia ako Putin sú takými parazitmi na tejto slabosti, hej, obyčajných ľudí.
2008, I came to present psychoanalytics in a medical conference in Moscow. I met some interesting people and I told them, Russia is moving towards dictatorship. Are you happy with that?
A keď som bol v 2008 na medzinárodnej konferencii lekárskej v Moskve, tak stretol som tam zaujímavých ľudí a pýtal som sa ich, že všimajte si, že Rusko ide smerom k diktátorstvu, že ste s tým OK?
The Duma becomes a joke. Regional governments dictated from the Kremlin. Chechnya is becoming his little mafia. The mafia basically is taking over. Are you happy with it?
Že mafia to proste preberá do svojich rúk, hej, že všetko je diktované z hora. Ste s tým spokojní?
70% approval rate of Putin in Russia at the time.
At that time.
Yeah.
V tom čase mali 70%, teda Putin mal podporu 70% ľudí.
Well, they loved him because he stopped Yeltsin. And he put a limit to the oligarchs, so he was a hero.
Bol hrdina, lebo zastavil Jelcina aj oligarchov.
I said, look what's going on. You are moving away from democracy.
No, ja som im hovoril, že ale však sa pozrite na to, že čo sa tu deje, že sa vzdialujete demokracii.
My colleague who was top professional English-Russian translator and teacher of English for the oligarch, she said, the Russian people are not ready for democracy. 2003, the Russian people are not ready for democracy.
Takže bolo to v 2008 a tá tlmočnička mi hovorí, že ale však Rusi aj tak nie sú pripravení na demokraciu.
What are you talking about? The Egyptians are ready and the Tunisians are ready. And the people in China are ready if you give them a chance. And you know, Singapore is ready and the Russians are not ready for democracy.
No som sa čudoval, že čo tým chceš povedať, že nie sú pripravení. Však Egypťania sú v Tunise, už sú a ešte neviem, aj v Číne by boli, keby ste im dali šancu. A Rusi nie sú pripravení.
You know what is the first democracy in the world?
Viete, aká je prvá demokracia na svete?
Complete republic with the merchants running the show in democratic manner.
Prvá demokracia.
The first principality in Europe to be democratic is Novgorod in Russia, 16th century.
16. storočie, Novgorod v Rusku bola prvá republika demokracia.
Russians are not ready for democracy. So they put themselves down.
Takže sa dávajú dole.
Let's have some big man controlling us. They got it now.
Radšej nech nás teda ten veľký muž kontroluje, no tak ho teraz majú.
That's why Viktor Orbán won 5th election in Hungary. Strong man, primitive people.
Aj preto Orbán vyhral už 5. voľby v Maďarsku. Silný muž, ale vlastne je to dané tými primitívnymi ľuďmi.
They're jealous about the democracy of Slovakia.
A žiadlia na demokraciu na Slovensku.
The Czechs are jealous about our level of presidency. They would like to have Čaputova anytime.
Aj Česi žiadlia na našu prezidentku, chceli by ju mať. And we have 10 minutes, yeah?
I have one question.
Yes?
Yeah, so from global point of view, what we can say is that things that we think that
I missed some words.
that from global point of view, yes, we considered some things that are usually for everybody, like food or energy, and prices are going up now. Yeah, for example, if there will be no food for Africa, it means that food in Europe will be expensive. And for example, we see that luxury and technology is not so much important that we felt in recent days. But I saw that there are some concerns among Western leaders that they fear about a humiliated Russia. They fear Russia that is weak or disoriented or how to say defragmented. So what is this fear of they say let's do it somehow, let's Putin have this, I don't know, his face, or how they say it, because they have concerns about what will happen if Russia will fail completely or something like that. So what is this concern about?
Čoho sa tí západní lídri boja, keď hovoria, že len urobme niečo, aby teda ten Putin úplne nestratil tvár, alebo aby úplne neboli zničení tí Rusi, hej? Tak.
Look, Putin is a bully. He lives on fear.
Putin je taký, jak sa volá ten, čo šikanuje.
Bullies can only be bullies as long as you're afraid of them. The moment you're not afraid of them, they lose the power.
To je ako keď, že on žije z toho strachu, ale ten, kto šikanuje, on len dovtedy z toho môže žiť, kým sa ho bojíte. Keď stratíte ten strach, tak už nemá moc.
Louis XVI tried to control the population of Paris with the gendarmerie. At some point they had nothing to lose. They lost the fear, they wanted the Bastille, they chopped his head. French Revolution. People lose their fear, the bullies don't have power.
Keď ľudia stratia strach, tak tí, ktorí šikanovali, už nemajú moc, tak aj Ludovít XVI prišiel o hlavu.
The same with the October Revolution, the Czech lost its power, we'll say, fuck it, we have nothing to lose. So the bullies live on fear.
Čiže tí, čo šikanujú, žijú zo strachu.
Finland was going to join NATO, he said, you will pay for it. He moved some tanks to the border. You know what the Finn people did? He moved some tanks to the Finnish border. They've got 1,300 kilometers border. So the Finn farmers drove tractors to face the tanks. That was the response. They said, fuck you, we're not afraid of you. You tried once, you know what happened. End of the story, Finland is joining NATO. So the bullies try to get you to live in fear. So people are afraid of Russia. They're afraid of Russia. It took Ukraine, they did nothing. It took Donbass, they did nothing. It took Chechnya, destroyed it, did nothing. He took half of Georgia, they did nothing. Where did he stop? So fear has its own reasons, you know. Why did Chamberlain gave Czechoslovakia to Hitler in Munich? Fear of Germany, let's be nice to them. Same thing.
Teraz veľa príbehov porozprával o strachu. Ja neviem, napríklad Chamberlain, prečo dal Československo Hitlerovi a vo Fínsku a tak proste rôzne príbehy, kde demonstroval, že ten strach je len dovtedy mocný, kým sa tí ľudia nespamätajú a už napríklad nemajú čo stratiť, tak proste sa zbavia strachu.
Why did we win the Second World War?
Prečo sme vyhrali druhú svetovú vojnu?
Hitler took the whole of Europe.
Hitler obsadil celú Európu.
Britain was close to sinking.
Británia už sa takmer potápala.
And there was peace with Russia.
A s Ruskom bol mier.
You know, peace and non-aggression between Hitler and Stalin. So what hope did we have?
Že Hitler a Stalin nemali medzi sebou nejaké problémy. Tak akú nádej sme mali?
And America only started to recover from the recession. Terrible, not recession, it was depression.
Amerika sa len začala zotavovať z depresie, to boli hrozné časy.
We survived because of America. You don't have to be Yank and you don't have to love America, but without America, Hitler would win the war.
My sme prežili vďaka Amerike. Nemusíte ich milovať, ale bez Američanov by Hitler vyhral.
Okay, he did some terrible mistakes. He attacked Russia. I mean, this was crazy. Okay, so he was crazy. That was another reason. But he mobilized America. They lost the First World War because they mobilized America. They lost the Second World War because they mobilized America. You cannot defeat America.
Čiže dobre, Hitler bol aj trošku blázon, robil šialené veci, takže sa to ináč nedalo, ale hlavne mobilizoval Ameriku, hej, že nemôžete vyhrať proti Amerike.
But America was on its knees. America was broken. America was starving. The Big Depression, you cannot even imagine it. I mean, our little recessions come and go like cripple on the water. This was a big typhoon. This was like a tsunami. The depression of the 30s.
Ale Amerika bola na kolenách, hej, po tej depresii sa veľmi pomaly zotavilovala, tá depresia bola proste ako tsunami.
So, Nazism is rising in Europe and America is sinking with its depression at the same time.
Čiže nacisti mali viac a viac moci v Európe a Amerika sa ponárala stále.
Nobody invests.
Nikto neinvestoval.
People took few dollars, put under the mattress. The banks are empty.
A ľudia si dávali peniaze pod matrace, banky boli prázdne.
And then Roosevelt came to power.
A potom Roosevelt sa dostal moci.
And what did he say?
Čo povedal?
He said, we have one enemy.
Povedal, máme jedného nepriateľa.
Not Hitler,
Nie Hitlera,
not financial crisis.
nie krízu finančnú.
Our enemy is fear, he said.
Povedal, náš nepriateľ je strach.
We have nothing to fear but
Nemáme,
fear itself. That's Roosevelt.
nemáme čoho sa báť, jedine sa musíme bať strachu.
He said, we, the government, we are working for you.
Teda my, vláda, pracujeme pre vás
We will guarantee your savings.
a my vám budeme garantovať vaše úspory.
Take your dollars from under the mattress, put back in the bank. I will guarantee your money.
Zoberte si tie peniaze spod madraca, dajte ich do banky a ja vám ich zaručím.
I'll print money and pay for public works, and I will give you social security and unemployment benefit.
Dám vám proste dávku nezamestnanosti, dám vám nejaké sociálne výhody, proste urobte to.
You elected me, I work for you.
Vybrali ste si mňa, zvolili ste si mňa, budem pre vás pracovať.
I'm Lincoln,
Som Lincoln.
a government of the people, by the people, for the people, trust me.
Dôverujte mi, som vláda pre ľudí, za ľudí, o ľuďoch.
And they did.
Oni to
I
urobili.
took the few dollars from the mattress, put it in the bank, started to circulate, got some jobs, social security, got out of the fear, and when Hitler started the war, America started to be strong again.
Čiže oni to urobili, tí ľudia mu uverili, dali do banky tých pár peňazí, čo mali, začalo to tam prúdiť a potom vďaka tomu, keď Hitler začal vojnu, tak už Amerika bola dosť silná.
Remember, Roosevelt, we have nothing to fear, but fear itself.
Čiže zapamätajte toho Roosevelta. Nemáme sa čoho báť, jedine toho strachu.
Who is warning us about the collapse that is happening? Gold merchants, check it out.
Kto nás varuje pred tým kolapsom, ktorý sa stane? Who is warning us?
People who sell gold.
Aha,
They want the price of gold to go up, that's it.
tí, čo predávajú zlato.
I'm not talking about crypto, it's another story. But the old story with gold, you know.
To je ten starý príbeh.
What are we afraid of? I mean, what are we afraid of?
Čiže čo sa bojíme?
We can find alternative to Russian oil and gas.
Vieme si nájsť alternatívy na
Just
tie.
Merkel fell asleep, you know, so they're waking up in a rude awakening. Now, what should we do? Nord Stream is shut, what should we do? They find solutions.
Oni nájdu nejaké riešenia, ako nahradiť tie zdroje z Ruska.
Water. Water. We will not have enough water. You know, about 20 years ago, peak oil. There will not be enough oil. We will start to eat each other. What peak oil? They discovered an alternative. Then water. The next war would be about water. Israelis created a new invention. They take salt water from the ocean, create some process, and there's water in Israel now. We have solutions for everything. What are we afraid of? There's more money than ever was in humanity. We live better than ever before. You want to become dystopian and pessimistic. It's addiction, you know. What have we got to afraid of?
Čiže sú riešenia na všetko. A čo sa teda tak bojíme? Čo sa tí ľudia tak boja?
Russia will fragment.
Že sa Rusko rozpadne.
Let them fragment. Who needs them united? What good did it do to us to have the same country from Kamchatka to the Ural to Moscow? You know, Zemlya. Who needs it? Let them break. Do you want the United Europe to be monolith? No, we want diversity. Let them break, it's fine. Ural can live without Kamchatka.
Že v kľude nech sa rozpadne Rusko, Ural môže žiť bez Kamčatky, nie je to problém. Ani Európu nechceme jednoliatu, chceme tú diverzitu.
This is not a nation, this is like a United Nation.
To nie je jeden národ, je to ako spoločenstvo národov.
Fear of Russia. That's what he feeds on.
Takže práve na tom on žije, na tom strachu.
Roosevelt, in his old age, was afraid of Stalin.
Aj Roosevelt, už keď bol starý, sa bal Stalina.
So he sacrificed Czechoslovakia to Stalin. There was no need for that.
Takže obetoval Československo Stalinovi, vôbec to nebolo treba.
No, friends, fear is not a principle to be adopted.
Čiže strach nie je princíp, ktorý by ste chceli nasledovať.
Let's not invest in fear.
Že nepoďme investovať do strachu.
As Obama used to say, all our problems, human beings created them. Human beings can solve them.
Tak ako Obama vravel, tie naše problémy, my sme si ich ľudia vytvorili, tak ich môžeme aj poriešiť.
Planet works all right if we don't destroy it.
Aj planeta je celkom OK, keď ju neničíme.
It's an attitude.
Takže je to taký prístup.
Tyrants live on fear and hatred.
Tyrani žijú zo strachu a z nenávisti.
They cannot stand love, brotherhood, optimism, charity, international cooperation. Look, we were working well before this war. What was wrong with Europe before this war? Britain was working well before Brexit. What's wrong? Why destroying what works well? Well, are you bored or something? Have nothing else to do? Start a war.
Hej, že oni nevedia vystať proste tú spoluprácu, tú lásku, charitatívnosť. A čo bolo v neporiadku pred Brexitom v Británii?
I was there. I voted to stay in Europe. I was in Britain. I'm British. Lies and hatred and anti-immigrants. Lies upon lies upon lies are eating their heads now. Are losing.
Bol som tam v tej dobe a boli to samé lži a teraz kvôli tomu len strácajú stále.
Fear of migrants.
To bol strach z migrantov.
They've got the same number of migrants now with exceptional visas because nobody has to pick the fruit and process the fish. Okay. You had a question?
I just wanted to ask what is exactly diversity?
What is?
Diversity. What is exactly this word?
Diversity. Ako
Diversity,
rôznorodosť,
yeah.
hej?
Rôznorodosť.
Yeah.
Just this word.
Look at the European Union.
Takže na Európsku úniu, keď sa pozrieme,
Unity in diversity.
je to vlastne niečo spoločné, ako spojené, ale je to aj rôznorodé.
Anybody stops us being Slovak?
Anybody?
Stops us being Slovak?
Aha, že niekto nás chce zastaviť, aby sme neboli Slováci?
Anybody stops anybody from being Spanish or Catalonian?
Alebo že by niekto povedal, že nie, vy nebuďte Španieli.
It's easy to be cynical about United Europe. Have you got anything better? When was it better in Europe before the EU? When?
Je to ľahké byť cynický o tej Spojenej Európe, ale kedy to bolo v Európe lepšie, než je to práve v tej Spojenej Európe?
Nations cooperating.
Národy spolupracujú.
What's wrong with that?
Čo je s tým v neporiadku?
Who else would lead humanity? The Russians?
Kto ešte iný by mohol viesť ľudstvo, že čo, Rusi?
The Yanks? They just killed 21 more boys in a school. There's something to look up to?
Alebo Američania, teraz zabili tam nejakých
China?
21 chlapcov. Čína?
India?
India?
No. United Europe is the future for another few generations. Minimum 100 years. United Europe is the future of humanity.
Čiže budúcnosť ľudstva je spojená Európa minimálne na pár generácií and now we have to stop.
Look what attacks United Europe. Look Who are the enemies of United Europe? Neo-Nazis.
A kto sú tí nepriatelia tej spojenej Európy? Sú to tí neonacisti.
Unity in diversity. There is one family of humanity, the rest is noise.
Je to spoločenstvo, ale aj tá rôznorodosť, to je vlastne tá budúcnosť ľudstva a ostatné je len taký hluk.
There's one home and garden, it's called the planet. There's no alternative.
Len jeden domov tu je a to je naša planéta, nemáme inú alternatívu.
The rest is noise and lies and corruption.
Zvyšok už je len hluk, klamstva, korupcie.
That was a vision for the Slavonic people,
To bola vízia tých Slovanov.
expressed in Central Europe 100 years ago.
Bola vyjadrená v strednej Európe pred 100 rokmi.
The next culture would be led by the Slavonic people. They have to stop fighting each other.
Že ďalšia epocha bude vedená tými Slovanmi, len sa potrebujú prestať medzi sebou byť.
It would be a culture of total empathy.
A že to bude kultúra totálnej empatie.
Every child is my child.
Keď každé dieťa je aj môjim dieťaťom,
Every man is my brother.
každý muž je môj brat,
Every woman is my sister.
každá žena je moja sestra,
Every village is my village.
každá dedina je moja dedina.
That's where we are going.
Tam ideme.
The rest is noise, destruction, and lies.
Tam smerujeme a ostatné je len nejaký
But
hluk,
we fell asleep.
deštrukcia a lži, ale zaspali sme.
We needed something as an absolute opposite of human to remind us what is human. That's the only good news from the war in Ukraine.
Že potrebovali sme niečo tak úplne protichodné a antiľudské, aby nám to pripomenulo, čo je to ľudské. Tak to je jediné, čo môže byť ako pozitívum z tej vojny.
30,000 Slovaks families opened their home to Ukrainian refugees. That's who we are.
Toto je to, kým sme. 30,000 slovenských rodín otvorili svoje domovy pre ukrajinských utečencov.
That's the future of humanity.
To je budúcnosť ľudstva.
It didn't come from governments. It didn't come from political systems. It didn't come from ideology. It came from people's hearts.
Že to neprišlo od vlády alebo z nejakej ideológie, ale prišlo to od ľudí.
And we want politicians to represent us on that level.
Potrebujeme politikov, ktorí nás budú reprezentovať na takejto úrovni.
And the system that we have is not perfect.
Systém, ktorý máme, nie je perfektný,
So help us to make it more perfect. Don't screw it.
tak nám to pomôžte, nech je to lepšie, nie že by ste to ešte pooniťali.
Being cynical about it
Myslím, aby ste boli cynickí ohľadom toho.
is what losers do.
Teda byť cynický je to, čo robia lúzri.
There's enough opportunities for everybody to be creative to a certain extent. Just get on with it.
Takže je dosť príležitostí, aby ktokoľvek mohol byť kreatívny a niečo s tým spraviť. Len to treba urobiť.
When you fail there, you create a vacuum in your soul, and then these parasites to feed on you and put in.
A keď toto neurobíte, tak potom v svojej duši si vytvoríte vákuum a potom sa tam môžu nasťahovať takí paraziti ako napríklad
So
Putin.
we need people like that to wake us up.
Takže takýchto ľudí potrebujeme na to, aby nás prebudili.
But we have to digest the disaster first.
Najprv ale musíme stráviť tú pohromu.
I'm building a team, volunteers, when the war over, to go to Ukraine and help them. Anybody join me?
Chce niekto sa ku mne pridať? Ja budujem tým, že po vojne, aby sme tam išli ako dobrovoľníci a pomohli.
I'm sad we don't have some Ukrainian even this evening. We have to improve our PR.
Je mi ľúto, že neprišiel nikto z Ukrajiny.
I do what I can. Do what you can.
Ale ja robím, čo môžem a vy robíte, čo môžete.
Thank you, friends, for coming.
Takže ďakujeme, že ste prišli.